Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Today is January
16th.
2022. And our topic today is, and get ready to receive. So we are going to begin with a reading, a prayer from Ernest Holmes, who had a wonderful prosperity consciousness. You know, for a person who was born as a poor boy, eighth child in a family, the family that struggled, including, I think, well, equivalent of having to file bankruptcy at one point and having the kids actually farmed out to live with other people, to growing up and becoming so successful and starting his own institution. That's what Ernest Holmes wanted to start, was an institution. He never was the minister of a church. He didn't want to be, but created a very successful institution and then an organization of churches who wanted to teach his teaching. So he starts out with this prayer. We're starting out with his prayer called, "I lift up my cup of acceptance." And there's a Bible quote that I love. It's from 2 Corinthians 9:8. And it says, "And God is able to make all grace abound toward you, that ye, always having all sufficiency in all things, may abound to every good work." Unquote. So this is a favorite saying for all ministers and people in nonprofit businesses who are going about the business of helping and wondering how in the world they're going to get paid and have enough money to do their works. So I want to go back and read it again, because it's easy to accept that God is able to make all grace abound toward you. You know, we sometimes ask, are we worthy? Are we worthy to receive? But we don't question that God is able to, and that we will always have all sufficiency in all things, and may abound to every good work, that everything goes to every good work. I do remember when I first started out in ministry and I needed to support myself, and I was actually very frightened. I thought, how in the world am I going to make enough money? And I was assured that my needs would all, but from spirit, it was an intuition, a hearing, an inner hearing that said, you will always be provided for. And I took that at its word, Spirit's word, that I would always be provided for. And I have. I've never starved. I've never been without. I've had more debts than I wanted at times. I never said you will never have debts. It said I would always be provided for. And I have been. But let me get back to this prayer. Ernest Holmes says, "We lift up our cup of acceptance to the divine bounty when we think affirmatively and give thanks to the giver of all life. Daily, we should practice affirming that our cup is filled and running over, always remembering that what we affirm for ourselves, we also affirm for others. Living and letting live, giving and receiving, loving and being loved, our cup of acceptance will be filled from the horn of God's abundance." And so here comes the I am statements that you can join with me. I am living in the continual expectancy of every good thing in my experience, that it should be multiplied. There is neither doubt nor uncertainty in my mind. Every denial is transformed into an affirmation, every negation into an acceptance, every no into a yes. I know that the Spirit of God has made me, and the breath of the Almighty has given me life. I have complete confidence in the Spirit. I know that I am beloved and needed. I feel at home with God. Today is filled with blessing for myself and others. The past is gone, and I gladly loose it and let it go. The present is filled with peace and joy, and the future with hope. Gratefully, I accept the divine love and givingness and gladly extend them to everyone I meet. I am made whole with the wholeness of spirit. Gently, but with complete certainty, I am guided into right action. and successful accomplishment of all good desires. This I accept. This I experience. And so it is.
I wanted to go back to Ernest Holmes, where you were talking about Ernest Holmes and his early childhood. He had an opportunity early on to create an extraordinary story of lack. He had the opportunity, if he wanted to have a story that had lots of excuses for why he never would make it. And what's interesting is that he didn't live that story. He didn't write that story. He remembered that those things had happened to him, but they happened not to him in the inner core of him. They happened in his outer world. And so the distinction that I want to start off by making is that what's happening in your outer world does not have to be a reflection of your inner knowing. And your inner knowing can be the knowing of prosperity in spite of appearances. And as I've often used the analogy, if I'm driving from here to California, I don't stop every 10 miles and say, I don't believe in California anymore. I have a knowing that I'm on my way and that the journey is, and we're losing you on the picture.
Oh, sorry.
It's disconcerting when you go away.
I didn't mean to abandon you.
So, but that knowing is what keeps the automobile or the vehicle that you're using to go where you want to go going. And I think for me, at least, and it's happened on too many occasions, and I'm sure it's happened to you, we have a knowing followed by a question. And the question often is, I know that. And then later is, I hope I know that. And then later is, gee, if that works out for me, that'll really be great. That if it works out for me, it will really be great. If that gets repeated and it gets to be part of the consciousness of the story of your future, then it'll always be, I hope that it'll be great. You know, we have a very limited, our brain is limited in how it understands. And that when we say, I hope this is going to happen, the brain says, well, let's spend our time with hope, as opposed to, I know this is mine and I claim it, which is the brain says, oh, so I don't know where it is, but let's get it. Let's unlock any door we need to unlock. And so the start of this for me is recognizing the difference between being in that space and claiming it and hoping that you can have that space and hoping that eventually it'll come true. The thing that struck me yesterday, Judith and I are working together on an art venture to really launch my artwork on a national basis. And so I bought a lottery ticket, which I do once a week, whether I win or don't win. And I asked myself the question, if I win the lottery today, do I still want to continue with the adventure? And the answer is yes, absolutely. You see, so then this adventure that we're engaged in is a true adventure of the heart and the soul, not an adventure that we hope will pay off. And if it does, fine. And if it doesn't, we can do something else. It's putting your eggs in that basket and saying, I believe and I know. Whatever that is, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a goal to get healthy, the fact that the condition doesn't necessarily represent that does not mean that you're not representing the truth of the condition. And the truth is all conditions pass, particularly when it comes to health. And when you're sick, it is so easy to believe in sickness because everything that happens to your body says, I'm sick, I'm sick, I'm sick. And what you can say is, that is how it appears on this part of my journey. It won't be like that tomorrow or the next day or the next day.
Exactly. And when we're in pain, our body is screaming that it's in pain, and it's hard to pay attention to anything else. So one of the things I think that keeps us from accepting our good is feeling worthy.
Really?
What have I done to deserve that good? Or what, we remember past mistakes and misdeeds perhaps, and we judge ourselves pretty harshly. So this is what Ernest had to say about that. He says, every person represents an individualization of the universal wholeness, the love, peace, joy, and freedom of spirit. Therefore, we have a divine right to rise above fear, impoverishment, and disease. We should have confidence that the power of spirit expresses through every atom of our being now, this moment. So you see, we're worthy just because we exist. We exist, we are a part of God, God is in us, we are in God, and therefore we are worthy. And any kind of lack of ease or dis-ease or distress that we experience, some of which we create ourselves and some of which we agree to participate in, I think, for our own growth and development. I would ask you this question because it's a good one for me to ask myself occasionally. Do you remember something that you thought was the worst thing that could possibly happen to you? It was painful, it was unpleasant, you didn't like it, you didn't know why you thought you deserved it. And it turned out to be the best thing that could have happened to you for your personal growth. For who, I'll just give you a brief example. The most painful thing I've been through is the divorce from my first husband, where I had 2 children. I'm the one who started it. I wanted the divorce. And yet it was very painful, and there were unexpected consequences that I had not foreseen. And it was very painful. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me.
And me.
And you, for me to step into who I truly was and really my life's mission and work. So we can't call things bad that are really developmental and causal in our very best. We want to call them bad, but they're not. Tell them about the show we listened to.
Right. How do we put them on mute? Do you know?
Oh, but yeah, we need to mute all participants. That's why we got started faster today.
Okay, thank you.
Well, we listened to a radio show on NPR yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
And the question asked was, what's the worst thing anybody ever said to you, said about you?
Yeah, and the actor that was had tried out for the part in a very, very successful movie, the producer said, what was his name? The actor that produced the movie.
Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks was supposed to have said.
He just looked at his screen.
The audition, yeah. The audition and said he has dead eyes. And so that meant he didn't get the position. Now, this is an actor who was just now getting started and believed that this was going to be his launch. Because of this very short role, in which I think he had like 1 sentence, his entire career was going to be changed or transformed. When he heard that, or when that was...
Because he already had the part.
Yeah,
and then Tom Hanks disqualified him.
So then they got somebody else. So this is crushing for him. I mean, this just ruined his life. It was over for him, except it really wasn't. And during the interview, because he now has a blog called
Dead Eyes.
Dead Eyes, yeah. And he said, and he said, if I were to be invited to audition for that role now, I am so far beyond it and so far ahead of that. There's no way that I'd want to ever do that again. But at the time, it was the most devastating thing that could have happened to him. And so the thing I tell people all of the time, that whether they listen to me or not, is the best time to evaluate the wins and the wins and losses of your life is about a half an hour after you're dead. Because see, then you'll have all the information. Until then, you don't have enough information to say anything other than, I didn't like that. That experience wasn't something that I would have preferred given what I know right now. But I don't really know whether it was good or bad. All I know is that it happened to me. I had my reaction, I had my feelings, and I wouldn't want it to happen again that way, given what I know. But given what you know tomorrow may change everything. How many of us have empathy for an animal or a person or somebody or something in our lives because we've had an experience that allows us to have empathy? Because that experience is, I've had something like that too. And we are then able to really care and feel for whoever it is because of our experience. And that is a positive outcome to a negative experience.
Exactly. And we want to be careful that any painful experiences, any diseases we've had, we don't view as punishment, and certainly not punishment from God. And we don't know the reason.
And we don't view them as bad. We simply view them as bad for me right now, given what I know. Yeah. Well, so the major thing that I always add to every statement that I make is, given what I know right now, given my experience right now, that may change. I leave the door open to me being able to interpret that differently later. Person at the airport, she rushes and she can't believe that she's having to rush. She got the time wrong. Everything was wrong. The cab was late. It's bad, 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 bad. She gets to the airport as the gate is closing and she misses her plane. Wow, it doesn't get worse than that when you have planned on a journey for so long a time and paid for it, until you find out an hour later the plane crashed and everybody was killed. Ooh, best thing ever happened to her. So again, it's relative to that. So, but I don't want to spend too much time on that. I want to go
No,
back to,
we're just talking about being worthy to receive.
right.
That's what we're talking about.
And
part of prosperity is feeling worthy to receive.
And not disqualifying yourself from that because of experience, not disqualifying yourself from being worthy because you get negative feedback or you're told you have dead eyes.
Or you've had lots of past failures.
Yeah.
In whatever relationship, health, or businesses. It doesn't matter. You have to let the past be the past to feel worthy and excited about right now, right here, right now.
Apple is a $3 trillion company right now that had the occasion of firing Steve Jobs at one point. You're going again.
I'm gone again. Well, I made some notes.
So he was fired from Apple, and then they rehired him. And when they rehired him, of course, he then put Apple back on the map, and in a way that no company has even begun to get close to. So he could have focused on, they fired me, I can't believe this happened to me, woe is me. Or he could have said, my good does not end with that kind of an experience. My good continues, my vision continues. And what was most important for Steve, and is most important for us, is we hold the vision of the outcome we want to experience and live into that, as opposed to, I'm hoping I can have a positive outcome.
All right. So in any prosperity class, the first thing you're taught is about the law of circulation, and that meaning you cannot receive unless you are giving. And of course, that giving includes money, the very thing you may want and feel like you need to receive. But you've got to be having a law of circulation operating. So there are three things that you need to circulate. It's called the 3 T's: your time, your talent, and your treasure.
It doesn't have to be money. It could be any number of things that your treasure represents.
Right. If you have no treasure to circulate, then give your time and your talent by volunteering or doing any number of good works. I know our people are really good about that.
What I'm suggesting is that your creativity, your imagination, your love and kindness is your treasure.
Yes.
And in many cases, that's the treasure that you can share that is treasured most. When was the last time you were sick and somebody said, I'm going to do some treatment or prayer work for you, and that you didn't want that? You said, no, just send me $10 and I'll get better. The money is really not the answer or the solution. Issue. No, I mean, send the $10, but please do the treatment or do the prayer, because that's actually what people are wanting. They're wanting your true treasure, which is the consciousness that you have a possibility.
Exactly, which I'm not sure this is the right time to talk about it, but I'm going to anyway. And that is that Bob and I are available to do prayer work for you anytime. So
before 11 o'clock at night.
So I'm not sure you'll reach us just when you call, but I mean, we will get back to you. There are phone numbers on the website of CSL palmbeaches.org, our center's website.
You can call that number, ask for either of us, because that's Judith's phone number.
And we also do counseling. So I'm going to be sending out an email about that too soon. But anyway, what we want you to know, that's what we're here for. So,
and we'd like to offer that on a love offering basis.
Of course, yes.
So you know that. So if your problem is, I don't have any money and I really wish somebody would treat for me to have prosperity, then we would be more than glad to treat for your prosperity. The only thing we ask is, if you do win the lottery, please give us 10%.
So back to prosperity.
Yes.
But first, we have to be ready to receive. We have to feel worthy to receive. We have to exercise the law of circulation. And we have to, I don't know where my notes are. We have to do a few more things. We have to treat and move your feet, we call it. Now, treat is the word we use for spiritual mind treatment or spiritual prayer. It's an affirmative prayer,
right,
where you pray, in the affirmative, giving thanks for the thing you want as if you already have it.
Yeah, when I want to go for a walk, I put on my walking shoes. I prepare myself time-wise for that walk. I dress myself accordingly. But the last thing is, I have to actually do the walk. Now, I would like to be able to put on the walking shoes, sit on the couch and get in shape. But the truth is, you have to then do the thing, move in the direction of the thing that you want to have. What is the activity in mind and spirit that matches the outcome you'd like to see? if there's no activity at any level in mind or spirit toward what you want, how would the universe know you're even asking? How would the universe be able to meet that need? And so, I think a good example is we're both very much involved right now in creating my art business as a business. The first thing we had to do was to decide what we'd be willing to commit to that. And we committed our time. We also had to commit our treasure, and I had to create
Your talent.
my talent. And those three things, I can remember a time when I wanted to have an art business, but I didn't want to invest the money.
Mm-hmm.
Or I wanted to invest the money and I had the vehicle for that, but I didn't have the confidence that what I had was worthy of that kind of sale. If one of those three things is missing, it doesn't mean you can't get to where you want to get to. It does mean that as an obstacle will reveal itself to be overcome. And when that reveals itself as an obstacle to be overcome, you can either change your mind and not do it, or you can say, aha, now I know what I need to work on. And so I remember back in the early training, Werner Erhard's S training, he said, as soon as you make a decision, really make a decision, this is what I'm going to do. This, not even a question, I'm going to do this. He said, the first thing that's going to show up is why you can't. And he said, that's usually when people quit, or that's when they put it down on their list of things to overcome. Are you headed in the direction you want to go? Or are you headed in the direction of the first block, after which you'll say, no, that didn't work out. I started on a Friday, but by Monday I changed my mind. Why? Well, because I talked to 3 or 4 friends and they all said it was a bad idea, so I'm not doing it. And are your friends really successful? No, actually they're not, but they don't really want me to be successful either, I think, because their small-mindedness is the small-mindedness I've decided to agree with. And most of the people that have had huge accomplishments have had huge visions that were bigger than they thought they were.
Right. So what you're talking about is the moving your feet part. It's helpful when you know what project you're moving your feet for, to help bring you the prosperity. But it's also not necessary in that you may not know what would, but you can still move your feet. You can still move in the direction of listening to your intuition. That's your inner teacher. Your inner teacher, when you get ideas, follow that. That's very important. Even when you, as I say, when you don't know what direction, but you know what your heart's desire is, you know what you love doing. And the income does not have to come from that source. It can come from any source when you're ready. I love a story that Edwene Gaines told. Yeah. She's a Unity minister who's been a lifelong prosperity teacher. And she told the true story of she was driving her bus because she travels all over to different centers teaching prosperity. And it was wintertime in Arkansas, I believe, and she was up in the Ozark Mountains and had a snowstorm and got her truck stuck or damaged. I mean, not the truck, the bus. It was damaged or stuck or something, and there was nothing she could do. And she was desperate to get to this place because she needed to earn $10,000, or better said, she needed to receive $10,000 to meet payroll for her staff back home in Alabama. And she was just very frustrated when she broke down. Happened to be right across the street or very nearby to a casino. So she went into the casino and started gambling. She won $10,000, right? Exactly the amount she needed to make payroll.
So we're not asking you to go to the casino.
So we're not telling you to go gamble, but the source of your good isn't always from the place where you're doing the work, and you don't have to expect it to.
Life, your good is not a gamble, and how you get to it may appear to be that. In fact, there's no way she could have thought that I'll be able to make payroll after I leave this casino. No. She went into the casino for a variety of reasons, I'm sure, with the hope of winning. But what she did was she moved into the direction of a possible outcome. Even though the odds weren't in her favor, the odds would definitely not be in her favor if she said, I'm just going to sit in this bus until somebody comes and fixes it. I can't believe this is happening to me. And then added that to the story of pain and suffering that we all have. So
she's the one that told me she had to really reason with this Bible quote, that God is able, that God is able to make all grace abound toward you. And so I think that pretty much sums up
Well,
our
I think,
sharing on
yeah, I think
prosperity.
that just reminds me of another saying that I've heard. I don't know who said it first, but uh, there is no place where God is not.
There's not a spot
Where God is not. Yeah, there's not a spot where God is. Well, think about that. Think of God as divine intelligence. Think of God as hopefully not somebody sitting in a really beautiful chair in the sky, but think of God as something that's connected or a part or an aspect of your own being, and that there's no place that God is not.
Yeah.
You're bringing the big guns to every occasion. You're bringing
And that
everything you need.
includes disease.
Yeah.
There's no spot to any part of your body that may be in pain. Or I love the word disease because it actually means lack of ease.
Yeah,
Where
disease.
there's a lack of ease in your body, God is there too.
Right.
And focus on that. Know that.
Excellent.
Okay.
You did a good job.
Thank you.
You've
So
done it-
did you.
You've done this
You've
before.
done this before. Okay, so we want to close with a affirmative prayer. And this will be for prosperity and abundance and health and wealth and all of that. So let's go within and know the truth of our being, which is that we are intricately connected with all that is that we call life, all that is that we call God. We are energy, constantly moving, constantly becoming.
We are a source of light. That which is good comes through us, flows through, and is easily seen and experienced through us in all areas of our life. There is no place, there's no spot, and we know this to be true, where God is not. The presence of divine intelligence in us, working through us, is us, and we believe that and we know that to be true.
And so we accept right here and now our good from God. We know that all things come to us from God and that we are worthy to receive. So we accept abundant health, abundant wealth, and abundant prosperity and well-being. We know that we do good works and we circulate the good works. We tithe of our time, our talent, and our treasure. And we accept our good and move in the direction of it.
Knowing this to be true, having agreed that it is true, having settled in our heart and our soul and our mind that it is true, we say together, and so it is.
So it is.
And it is so. We're going to go to the...
And so now we're going to, let's see, it looks like I have to do something else first. I want to share how you can support this ministry. And first I have to bring it up. Thought I was being so clever having it down here.
Don't have them on the screen.
What? Oops.
Okay.
Better do a share screen. Oh, I don't know what happened that they are
We're
visible.
recording. We don't want to have them on the recording.
I'm trying to figure. Shucks. There we go. Okay. Share screen. So this took way too long. Okay, so we want to do a share screen. So this is our web page, and the address of the web page is right here, cslpalmbeaches.org. And this shows how you may support our work in this ministry. It's called Ways to Donate. You click on that, this pops up, and it gives you ways that you can donate with a credit card or mail a check, or through a program called Easy Tithe. It's an easy way to give regularly if you care to. So we want to thank you in advance for your support of our work, and we thank you in advance. And now we want to stop the recording.